Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys exclusive 1/6 scale diecast figure unboxing and review. Today, we're taking a look at the comic book version of Iron Patriot. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. While you're down in the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new diecast figure review goes live on the channel. If you're on your way down to the comments to say it, let me save you the hassle. I know. Another diecast Iron Man figure as an exclusive? Really? Well, in this instance, actually, no. Iron Patriot is not Iron Man. In the comics, Norman Osborn was inside this suit, not Tony Stark and not Rhodey. So this time, even though it reuses a lot of Mark 46 parts, we'll get stuck into that a little bit later, I am genuinely excited for this. Up front, we've got an image of the actual figure with this wireframe overlay of sorts on top of it, and the artwork is done in this shiny metallic finish. But for the red, techie circuitry panels, they've got this grippy texture to them. Up top, Marvel, a metallic foil logo, a Hot Toys exclusive sticker, and down below, Iron Patriot. Oh, and the shiny finish wraps all the way around the box. On the side of it, Iron Patriot with a star behind it. Around the back, it's just warnings and legal information. Nothing exciting back here. On the other side of the box, though, there's the foam block that holds the figure, with some sculpted detail etched into the surface. I can make out the star in the middle. Not quite sure what everything else is supposed to be, though. By now, this should be a pretty familiar sight. We've unboxed so many diecast figures on the channel. On the lid of the foam block, we've got Iron Patriot carved into the surface. First in-hand impressions for the Iron Patriot? So far, so good. I'm loving the metallic blue and red finish. And being die-cast, he is quite substantial. What we're going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first. It's technically reuse from the Flash movie line. Those figures were announced before any of these Iron Man figures, but none of them are out yet. They still haven't been released at the time of filming this video, and we've had this base mold with countless Iron Man figures already. So I'm just going to call it, this is not a Flash movie figure base mold, this is an Iron Man base, and they're reusing it for the Flash figures. There, it's settled. It works really well for Iron Man though. The techie little rib tubes around the edges, the handles, the arc reactor detail work up on top, this time done in metallic blue, metallic red, and silver. Using red to highlight the panel lines, bold choice, but I am so here for it. Around the front, Iron Patriot on this etched, heavily textured for the blue sections, shiny metallic silver nameplate. Now it does have a light-up effect, USB-C powered, but they've not included a USB-C cable. It is once again BYO cable. Flicking the switch, it looks really cool with the LEDs turned on. I still need to figure out some way of having these bases powered long-term in the collection, because with the lights turned off, they just don't quite hit as hard. Up top, a height-adjustable crotch grabber. We get two brand new sculpts for Iron Patriot's chest plate. We'll try out both of these on him a little bit later, but for now, yeah, I do have a preference between them, and it's not the one on the left. This cap shield is looking very MCU-esque. That's because they've reused an MCU cap shield mold. The detail work on the star is a dead giveaway. There's a black wash in that sculpted detail. The blue is quite vibrant and rich, but it's a satin finish. Then they've used a orange color shift red paint for the red sections. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I like the red, but The orange color shift is a strange choice. Maybe it'll grow on me. I also would have liked to have seen that brushed effect for the silver. They've been doing that more and more recently, but this looks kind of flat and dull. Then around the back, more of that metallic silver. It is shiny, there's a flake to it, but it's not as cool as the brushed effect, like I said, that they've been doing recently. To attach this to Iron Patriot, there's magnets inside of these foam padded sections. The straps, they're just there for show, and they're made of a softer PVC. I know in universe, Steve Rogers stopped using the magnetic shield after Age of Ultron, but I don't really care about that. They should have kept using the magnets for Cap shields after Age of Ultron, because the straps that they give us for MCU Cap figures, they break all the time. It's really frustrating. Knowing full well that they can do something like this, it's easy to use, it's got legs, it's going to last, just makes me even more annoyed that they went back to the stupid straps. The gauntlet rockets and the missile pods for his traps, they're carryovers from the Mark 46 and the Mark 47. We will, of course, be trying these out. And lastly, pure reuse, the usual suspects for Iron Man hands for Iron Patriot. We've got the repulsor blasting ones with the wrist peg port and the hand armor at an angle, and a translucent repulsor windows so that the LED for the ball joint they pop onto will illuminate the repulsors. They've also hit the ribbing detail for the fingers with a black wash. Then we've got my favourite set of hands, the articulated finger ones, because they are so versatile. If only they'd figure out a way to do swap out hand armor, and then give us an articulated wrist peg port that could angle up, they could easily ditch the repulsor blasting hands and just give us these. Oh, and the final set, 2 closed fists already installed on him right out of the box. What we're going to do now is get the Iron Patriot himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Except for the shield. I had to pop that on there just to complete the look. This thing is dope. Is it perfect? Maybe. It's beautiful. It's a work of art. Hot Toys, they're the best at what they do. And what they do is make killer 1/6 scale Iron Man figures. That ruffles some feathers from time to time because they like to overdo it with Iron Man. But this? I wasn't expecting it. Most of y'all weren't expecting it. And I wasn't expecting to love this. But now that I have it, seeing the color scheme, the new armor pieces on the Mark 46, it works for me. And then you throw in the Captain America shield, and it takes him to the next level. I need to find a spot for this in my collection. I have no idea where it's going to go, but I will make it happen. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Iron Patriot's helmet. We'll get to head swaps, Tony Stark on this armor, Rhodey, Norman Osborn. I want to try all of it. But before we do that, let's discuss this helmet. It's not entirely new for Iron Patriot. The back part and the chin guard or chin area is reuse from the Mark 46 helmet. But it's clever reuse because they've switched out the faceplate and they've given us a new top panel. Those two pieces make this look like a bespoke helmet, especially from the front. We've got this massive V-shaped cutout up top and a more pronounced mouth slit, if that's what you want to call it, that you can actually see through. The eyes are currently illuminated with the button cell batteries. The LED light up function is turned on. They're going to die very quickly. I wish they'd have tried something else to make the eyes look lit up all the time, but we'll touch on that in just a second. The neck piece underneath the helmet is pure reuse from the Mark 46. The shoulder pads, though, are new. And there's 2 ways of displaying them. You can have them sitting like this, slightly flared out, or you can adjust them, bring them down, bring the arms up. They're more gappy, but this is also a display option. I'm more so partial to this one, but then the arms sit down a little bit lower, so it's going to be up to you, down to personal preference. So we've got red for the shoulder pads, red for the helmet, red for the chest plate, then red for the forearms, and down here for the knees and boots. There's a lot of blue, and there's a lot of silver. It's shiny, it's metallic, there's a flake to it, but if I had to pick my favorite color on this suit, it has to be the blue. There's this pearl effect to it that shows up as you shift him round under harsh lighting, and I cannot get over how good that looks. I'm just going to pretend that you've never seen the Mark 46 or Mark 47 before. You very likely own it, but I'll just pretend so that we can go through everything on this outfit, or on this armor, I should say. Around the back, we've got some opening flaps with some sculpted detail underneath them. To open these, I would suggest pushing here, and then they'll flip open. This is the battery compartment. You can remove that panel, and then you can get to the light switch. If only they didn't go with button cell batteries, though. They're making a mint on these recolors of Iron Man suits. Why not invest a little of that money that you're earning on these back into R&D and figure out how to do an internal power supply? If you could plug this guy in, charge him up, or just leave him plugged in to have the lights on permanently, push one button and light up the entire suit, that would be a game changer. But right now, having a million little compartments and teeny tiny arc reactors, yeah, I'm not a fan of it, because you have to open all of those compartments, flick the individual switches, then close them all back up, just to admire the lights for a very short amount of time before the button cell batteries inevitably die on you. I've just spotted this darker matte red on the chest plate, which is removable. It's on there quite securely, actually. There's some sculpted and painted detail underneath it, and the arc reactor is fully detailed, but you can't actually see that with the LEDs turned on. So turning them off, there's the detail on the arc reactor. This is what I was alluding to just before when I said I wish they'd figured out a way of making the eyes look lit up without relying on LEDs. Because that's what they did for the chest plate. They've used this frosted white plastic, and that gives it the illusion of it being lit up. Mission accomplished. It's worked. Now it looks like the arc reactor is turned on, even with the lights turned off. It's not the first time they've done this. We saw it with the quarter scale Mark 42 and Mark 43. They tried it only a couple of times back in the day. It's something I want to see more of. So Hot Toys, please consider giving us either a swap out window for chest plates or just making this the only option. I'd be fine with that. Now, taking off this chest plate, we do have the alternative one. It makes him a little bit more blue heavy. I like the blue, but I'm not a fan of losing the star. The triangular arc reactor is a nice touch. We've also got all this panel line detail with washers in it. I'm not going to rock him wearing this. This is the chest plate for me. So we may as well remove that and pop this one right back on there. The abs section is meant to look like the US flag, I believe. We've got the red and silver, but they would be red and white stripes up front. Then the little hip skirts can be moved out of the way for maximum range of motion. And we've got some vent work on the thighs, which nicely ties into the vent work around the back on these flaps. Shall we install some weapons? We may as well while we're here. To remove the forearm guard, I like to wedge my fingernail in around the back, being mindful of the very thin plastic pins. They break all the time on the Mark 46, so probably pretty fragile here too, I would imagine. The replacement panel is a mini rocket. The color scheme on that rocket is so toy-like, with the silver, the blue fins, and the red tip. I cannot get enough of it. At least one forearm rocket is going to be out at all times on my Iron Patriot. Then we've got the trap-mounted missile pods. To get to them, that looks extremely goofy. Please no one display your Iron Patriot like this. They're held in place with magnets. I like to grab them from this vent around the front, bringing in this one, closing up the gaps. It's a small detail with the missiles up top. It's a nice little extra bit of sculpt work, and we've got some more silver stuff with a black wash in it, and the red dots for the missiles. Front on, not super visible. I may as well just leave them on there. Coming down to his legs, they're chonky, but still sleek in a way with the panel lining and the faux musculature as part of the shape of the armor. Then we've got the mini arc reactors, not lit up. I didn't want to install button cell batteries in the legs. I'm so sorry about that. But technically speaking, there's battery compartments in the legs and in the arms, and these ones you already know are meant to be illuminated. They simply aren't. You can pop all the batteries in yours, and then you'll be able to see these mini arc reactors turned on. There's a lot of red for the bottom part of the legs. And we've got some silver spliced in there with a black wash in those panel lines. On the underside, some sculpted detail and some really ugly visible screws. Now it's head swap time. Before we get there, let's just put him back to stock. The Mark 46, there's a reason why they keep coming back to this mold. For the concept version, then we had the Mark 47, the reissue of the Mark 47, and the reissue of the Mark 46, now the Iron Patriot. It's a really solid base mold. Now, they don't give us the collar piece in Iron Patriot colors, because that's meant to be the helmet around the back. So, whichever head sculpt you end up going with is going to look a little floaty, for lack of a better way to describe it. The neck is long, and there's this massive gap around the front. I went with the Mark 46 Tony sculpt because this is the Mark 46. This head sculpt was designed to go with this armor. It looks fine. I would never rock him like this because Tony Stark in an Iron Patriot suit, not my vibe. Rhodey, on the other hand, this is more like it. His neck is a touch skinny, looks very gappy, but if you angle the head sculpt forward, depending on the pose you end up going with, I reckon this could work. In the future, if they give us a new Rhodey sculpt with moving eyes, then this may end up looking even better. Doesn't he just look so pleased with himself? Norman with a huge grin on his face, wearing the Iron Patriot armor. His neck is just short enough so that the gappiness doesn't bother me. It almost looks like this head sculpt was designed to go with this armor. Not the case, we all know that, but still, that's how good this looks. I've got a spare one of these sculpts because the standard Raimi Goblin is wearing his helmet. I might just rock him like this every now and then. Back to the helmet because the shield. We need to pop the shield on his arm. Now, the magnets, they're strong enough, and the clips hold it in place securely enough that it doesn't really want to move around. Once you pop it there, it's a set and forget kind of situation. And there's magnets on both arms, so you can have it on the right side or the left, it's entirely up to you. For a quick side-by-side comparison, I thought this might happen. There's always a danger when you're reusing MCU parts and pieces. For a comic book style Iron Man or Iron Patriot in this instance, he doesn't look very comic booky. These two, standing next to each other, to me, it seems like the figure on the left is an evolution of the figure on the right. That's Mark 1 Iron Patriot, and that's Mark 2 Iron Patriot, before we get to the big hulking monster from Avengers Endgame. I'm okay with that, but if you want to get this as a comic book Iron Patriot to pose up alongside your very crisp, clean-looking Hono Studios Iron Man when that thing comes out, I don't know if the designs are going to mesh super well, but we'll have to wait and see. Et voila! This is what the figure on the left started out life as, the Mark 46 from Captain America Civil War. A great starting point, because the 46 is one of the all-time greats, both in live action and in 1/6 scale. It perfectly toes the line between sleek and nanotechy, but it still comes across mechanical at the same time, and that's why so many people love it. The legs are the same, the midsection is the same, some of the chest pieces are identical, it's just the chest plate that's new, the shoulder pads are different, but the arms are the same, and most of the helmet is the same as the Mark 46. So a lot of reuse is what I'm trying to say. The 46 looks taller. That's just because I've got him wearing the Tony Stark head sculpt. The hair is giving him a height boost. I forgot how big the endgame Iron Patriot is. Not height-wise, he's still taller than the comic book one. But in terms of bulk, he's an absolute unit of a 1/6 scale diecast Iron Man figure and so darn heavy. The blues, they almost match. The figure on the right is slightly darker, the red is more muted, but lining up all three Iron Patriots in the collection, I'm interested to see what that looks like. So let's try it. Oh, hell yes! Mark 1, Mark 2, that's how I see it. It's a comic book one, but it's Mark 2 for me in my headcanon. And Mark 3 on the right from Avengers Endgame, the biggest and bulkiest final form version of Iron Patriot. I wish we'd gotten that suit in the middle, in live action. And I'm probably not the only one who feels that way. Going over articulation, starting off with Iron Patriot's helmet. There's a ball joint at the base of the neck, then another one underneath the helmet, but that's also on a hinge. Looking forward to there as the chin collides with the chest armor. Back to there, plenty of range for a flight pose, but it gets gappy, you're going to need to manage that. Swivel, and some pivot side to side. I would suggest moving the shoulder pads out of the way and extending the arms before you move them to avoid any kind of like scuffing or paint rub. His arms will go up to there on ball joints and hinges. Going forward and back, there's a butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going past 90, then for the wrist peg, it's a ball joint. Extending the midsection and waist joints is not easy, but once you do that, crunching forward to there as this armor plate flexes out of the way, going back to there, swivel and pivot side to side. The hip skirts can be moved up, this one at the front and this one on the side. His legs will drop down on ratchets to there. Going forward, just watch out for that silver piece of armor. It looks quite spiky. You don't want it to rub up against these paint applications. Going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Ratcheted double bend at the knee, going past 90. For his ankles, flipping up the back guards, you can bring the feet down. Going forward and back, it's mostly forward, swivel, ankle tilt, and there's a little bit of toe articulation. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing is a carryover from the Mark 46 and the Mark 47. There are way too many button cell battery compartments on this. One around the back, one on each arm, one on each leg, and one for the helmet. Having to lift up and untab a bunch of delicate little plastic clips to flick a switch for the lights to only last 5 minutes anyway? Yeah, not something I'm interested in. The second annoying thing is they were this close to giving us an Iron Man suit that looked lit up even with the LEDs turned off. Going with this frosted white plastic for the arc reactor windows, a brilliant idea. But why didn't you do it for the helmet as well? The faceplate is not removable, so we can't even mod that to get it to look like these pieces. You have to rely on the LEDs for Iron Patriot's eyes. The third annoying thing is they used an MCU Iron Man mold for Iron Patriot. This is meant to be a comic book figure. It's far too detailed for that. The grills and the panel lines and all the intricate little bits and pieces, the mini arc reactors, none of that stuff is really supposed to be there. This isn't accurate, mold-wise, to any one comic book appearance for Iron Patriot as far as I can tell. I've not seen them all, but I've seen quite a few of them. If only they'd have invested in a bespoke mold specifically made for Iron Patriot, then they could have reused that one in the future for other repaints. For a bonus annoying thing, these mini arc reactors, they're sort of working. Every now and then they'll flicker and turn on. You've probably spotted them coming and going throughout the course of the video so far. Super frustrating. Sometimes when I move the torso, they come back on, but it seems like they don't want to do it right now. I am going to try and get a replacement for this. I shouldn't have to, at this price point, exclusive. These figures should just work right out of the box. Something is going on with the wiring inside this guy, and these lights, the ones around the back for the midsection, they simply don't work. The first cool thing is the return of the magnetic cap shield. It's so easy. You just pop it right on there. I wish they'd never gone back to the straps for MCU cap figures. And the inside of the clips are foam padded, so when you have the shield on, it's not plastic on plastic. It's not going to damage the paint applications on Iron Patriot's forearms. The second cool thing, yes, there's a lot of reuse here. But there's also a lot of new. A new helmet, new shoulder pads, and 2 new chest plates. The third cool thing, which should be a given at this point because we have so many die-cast Iron Man figures from them, it's the paint. How clean everything is, the really rich, vibrant metallic red, and the blue. The color shift effect, the metallic flake. This is probably the nicest metallic blue I've ever seen from them. Wrapping up on Iron Patriot by Hot Toys, this is their latest Iron Man exclusive. I love it. I didn't think I would. I thought, yep, this is another Iron Man, paint by numbers, let's give it a go. I'm so glad I did. This thing is glorious. The color scheme alone makes it worth getting. The vibrant blue, the metallic glossy red, the dull-ish but still metallic silver, it all works for me. And then when you pop the Captain America shield on, he really comes to life. But the question is, where does he go in the collection? I think he's too realistic looking to go with comic book figures, so I'm going to pop him with my MCU Iron Man suits. If you don't care about all of the extra surface detail, pop him alongside your comic book figures, no problem. We'll have to wait and see when the Hono Studio Iron Man comes out, how this guy is going to mesh with him. For now though, he's going next to the other Iron Patriots for me. Hot Toys? It's time to slow down on Iron Man exclusives, unless you're going to give us unique suits and unique characters like this. This is not Tony Stark, this is not Rhodey, this is Norman Osborn as the Iron Patriot. Well done, Hot Toys, I'm all on board for this. And more comic book Iron Man suits in the future, with some new parts and pieces, please. Don't keep reusing the Mark 46 or the Mark 50. You need to give us a brand new mold, then you can use that as your base for comic book Iron Man figures. Extremis is top of mind for me. I want to see that in 1/6 scale. But back to Iron Patriot, glorious outcome. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.